been talking about good stuff. All right, so welcome to EWB Thursday webinar series. We are so happy to see all of you. And yes, every week we have this investment time where we bring experts from overseas who are ready and generously share their knowledge, their experience with our members. And we also understand it's Ramadan. People just, it's time for breaking the fast. But anyway, people join. And those, who are watching us on Zoom and who are watching us on Facebook, thank you for joining. And we really appreciate your time and also interest in EWB Thursday webinars. And today we are again very happy to host Mitchell Bradford. So Mitchell Bradford is, first of all, like I know you, Mitchell, as EWB honorary member. Yeah, and then other privileges that you have. And of course, like Mitchell has been very active with EWB since last year. He has been very active, and also he delivered a number of webinars, and he also contributed with great articles in which were published in EWB newsletter. And for those of you who don't know about our speaker, so Mitchell Bradford is an EAP instructor and teacher trainer based in China, hailing from Arkansas. Southern USA. He holds degrees in foreign languages, Southern Arkansas University and TESOL University of Nottingham, Ningbo, China, along with Delta. Mitchell's teaching experience ranges from kindergarten to university, and he has trained teachers of each level of education. He has worked at transnational tertiary program in China for several years, as well as taught in schools and universities in the US and at an orphanage shelter and school in Guatemala, along with being a virtual educator for a Ukrainian university in that capacity. He has worked with local teachers to introduce innovative teaching techniques and theories, and he has taught academic writing, public speaking, academic reading strategies, PE courses, intercultural communication, Spanish, French, and coached football. Mitchell is currently conducting doctoral studies in TESOL with the University of St. Andrews, with a focus on the challenges and coping strategies of English teachers in Asia, along with teacher training and development. His research has been related to the EAP, AI, virtual education, and intercultural communication, which he has been able to publish some articles in English and Spanish. Mitchell has led teacher training workshops and presented research throughout much of the world. He also coaches mentors, teachers globally. And today, Mitchell is going to talk about feedback. Yes, when, where, how, and speaking feedback. So again, please, dear all, use this opportunity, get engaged, and then ask your questions to our speaker after his presentation. And with great pleasure, I'm giving the floor to Mitchell. Mitchell, over to you. Thank you so much.
Cool. Thanks so much, dude. Let me go ahead and share. Let's get started there. But cool. Thank you guys so much for joining, especially y'all breaking fast for Ramadan stuff. Or if you haven't yet, hopefully you will soon. But sweet. And hide my stuff. All right. Cool. So today, I did have this originally feedback session for one big thing, but I felt like it'd be best if we break it into two different sessions. So today we're doing speaking, and I believe sometime next month I'll be back to talk about writing feedback. And of course, I mostly do university level, so it's going to be a bit of a higher level. But yeah, it's going to be good stuff throughout. But cool. So today we're talking about when, where, how to give feedback for speaking. And of course, and if you guys don't know me, my name is Mitchell. That's sweet. A bit about me, just really quick, since I already been introduced. But I'm from Nuremberg, Arkansas, in the south of the U.S. There's a nice little dot down there somewhere. I am an EAP instructor. I also coach football, American football, not soccer, and train teachers and mentor teachers and stuff. I'm based in China right now, but I've helped with teachers in a couple of different countries, so that's pretty cool for me. I'm also a student myself. I'm doing my doctorate right now in TESOL at the University of St. Andrews, which is in Scotland. I am drowning in interviews right now and trying and transcribing all that stuff. Well, editing transcriptions. But yeah, it's fun. I'm researching AI quite a bit right now. And there's my email. If you guys want that, I will show my email and my contacts later on. Oh, also over there somewhere is my Instagram. If you guys are into that. But yeah, reach out for anything. You got my slides. Let me know. I'll show my contacts again at the end, and I'm happy to share my slides or whatever. No problem. But sweet. Let's talk about what we're doing today. So we're gonna start off with the issues of giving speaking feedback. Then we're gonna talk about implicit versus explicit feedback. And then we're going to look at materials to help us give feedback with speaking, and then different kinds of techniques or kind of little tricks to help out with speaking feedback, and then a nice little summary. Okay, great. So in the chat box, or if you guys want to mute, because I think we're a bit of a small group right now for now. But let's talk about what are some issues that we have or that y'all have while giving students speaking feedback or giving them feedback on their speaking. What are some issues that y'all have? Y'all can unmute and use the chat box. Whatever you guys want to do. Well, let's see, we got some responses. Students might be sensitive. Yeah. Oh, lack of rubrics. Yeah. So rubrics are a thing. Just what do we get feedback on? How much do we give? How do we do it? Because we don't want to hurt their feelings and stuff, right? Let's see some of those answers pop up. The idea that we might interrupt fluency. Yeah, especially if we overcorrect or we correct, too much. Mess up their flow. Right, right. Okay, cool. So we have things interrupting fluency. This might be too sensitive. There's a lack of good rubrics. Um, all right. Then because they're speaking is kind of, in the moment and then it goes away, right? It's not like written feedback where you have time to actually give them more detailed feedback. Speaking happens instantaneous. That feedback kind of needs to be instantaneous. So dealing with that, how do you give them feedback right away? Yeah, if we give students too much feedback, they might, be quiet, not want to talk. Oh, the struggle of actually have to listen to them, have to listen without overcorrecting them, because sometimes you just want to fix every. Teachers have this problem where a lot of us are fixers, and we just want to fix every problem, but then we do that too much. We end up making it worse. So just being able to actually listen more than fix them. Oh yeah, calling on people separately. So we're going to be going into that actually a little bit today about how do you do feedback for if you're talking to a student one-on-one versus if you have them in groups or in doing presentation and stuff like that. How do you do it? Speaking of Z, my friend Zainab's telling us that speaking of the language itself is quite sensitive. Yeah, I love one-on-one feedback. Yeah, I think it's really important to give some one-on-one feedback. Okay, cool. So we saw some common issues. Let's see some things that I have written down. One thing is when to give it. Okay, so with speaking feedback, it's instantaneous. Like if you make a mistake, do I stop you right there and tell you that to fix your mistake, I say your mistake, or do I just let you keep on going and then I try to remember it for later? Okay, so when to give feedback? How do I give it to you? So we're gonna get into this later about should I just fix it for you? Should I tell you what's wrong, or should I try to let you fix it yourself? And hint at ways that what the issue is and make you try to fix it yourself, whereas instead of me fixing it for you, we have those things going on. Also about is it that big of an issue? Should it just be let go of? and just let you focus on fluency. So that kind of idea as well. How much? So like, do I want to fix your grammar? Do I want to fix your pronunciation? Do I want to fix both? Do I want to fix every time you make a mistake? Do I want to focus on just maybe advanced grammar versus, plurals, which is like some languages don't have plurals. Some people will always have problems with that. Same thing with articles. Lots of people mix up A and the. Does it really matter? So ideas like that. Who gives feedback? So should it just be the teacher, or should we do peer feedback too? Some places struggle horribly with peer feedback, horribly struggle with peer feedback to the point where some people, like in China, don't think it works and I don't do it. Now, also we saw this thing about being the students being sensitive, and this is everybody, not just little kids. My daughter's 4 and she's sensitive, but then again, like people who are adults are sensitive too if you overcorrect them. So being able to correct them without discouraging them. And another thing is that's really frustrating is, do students listen? Do they listen to us? But also, do they actually understand what the problem is? So checking to make sure they understand our feedback when we tell them like how to fix something. And are they listening to us? And then are they able to improve? So there's lots of stuff with pronunciation. Like for me in China, there's some pronunciation issues that are just pretty much always gonna be a problem. But then we have to worry about, do you want them to make them sound like a native speaker, or are you just going for intelligibility? Are they able to be understood? I go for that more than trying to make them sound like me. You don't want to sound like me. Y'all don't want to sound like me. But cool. And also there's the idea about meeting expectations. So some students will honestly ask you to fix all their mistakes. This is especially for, students who are maybe university level, high school level, maybe the ones who are doing IELTS or TOEFL, whatever. They want you to fix everything that's wrong with them because some people just have the idea of like, that's how they get better. So some people want too much feedback, or they want you to focus on every single mistake. But then you're trying to balance that with not discouraging them. So there's lots of things going on that need to be balanced. It's not that easy. Okay, now we're gonna look at implicit versus explicit feedback. Now, implicit is where you urge the students to fix their own mistakes. There's an issue, you try to point out what the issue is, you try to help them fix it themselves. You hint at the issue. We'll go into some examples later with this. Then there's explicit, which is where you pretty much fix it for the students. You say exactly what's wrong, and here's the correct way. That's very direct. You directly say what the issue is, or you just give them the right answer. You don't let them try to fix it themselves. Now, one thing comes up, is there a preference for those and stuff? Usually I prefer implicit. I like the idea of trying to have people try and fix it themselves, but that's mostly because I'm working with university students. Sometimes I'm working with master level students, so they can do it themselves. They have that cognitive ability. They're smart enough to try to understand what the issue is and try to figure it out themselves. If you're working with younger people or maybe students who are at weaker level, explicit might be better because they are still building up that knowledge of how the language works, or they're still learning how to think for themselves. My daughter's 4. I asked her, "What did you eat today?" She said, "I eat bananas yesterday." She doesn't say ate. She doesn't know the past tense yet. That's fine. I'll let it go. But if I try to have her, oh, what's eat in the past tense? She's not gonna know what I'm talking about. She's 4. So stuff like that. Anyway, it depends on that. Usually implicit's a little bit better for students who are at a higher level or higher age, more knowledgeable. Explicit's usually better for younger folks and lower levels. That's usually better for explicit. Yeah, but both of them have advantages and disadvantages. Great. Now, in terms of materials to help out with feedback, we had something come up earlier about rubrics in the group chat. So we're going to look at that for a bit. But also, there's this thing called the feedback sandwich. Do we know the feedback sandwich? No? Great. Say now does. Thank you. All right, and then also we're going to look at some rubrics and how those can be helpful. And checklists. So these are kind of 3 kind of materials. And next month, when I'm here again talking about writing feedback, we're going to look at that as well. And we're actually going to do some grading. I'm going to make you guys do some work for me. Yeah, I should do that. I should make you guys grade some of those things for me. That's a good idea. Anyway, the feedback sandwich. So the idea of the feedback sandwich is, sandwich, you have bread, you have your stuff in the middle, and then you have more bread. The idea is you start off with something positive, some positive feedback, like, like, oh, you were able to speak, very quickly today. Your ideas were very clear. Okay. And then you give some constructive feedback, however you kind of had trouble with, using plurals or using you forgot to use the past tense all the time. Everything you said was in the present tense. Okay, so give some constructive feedback. And then you end on a positive note. You tell them something, positive. So overall, like, you're a lot better than you were last week. You made a lot of progress. You're getting there. You're getting better. You made less. You've had less issues, and you have more vocabulary. Stuff like that. Okay. That's essentially what it is. Here's another thing about it: positive feedback, constructive feedback, where you identify areas for improvement and sources of concern. It has a little typo on how to fix it. So that's cute. But don't make it bland. You have to actually give tips to actually help them get better. Um, and then you end off with something positive again. All right, now for using a rubric, here's a simple rubric. I don't think this is I made. I feel like I had this off the internet some time ago. But in terms of speaking, what do you want to look at? And you want to do a rubric so that you're not looking at just one thing. Lots of teachers kind of struggle with that. So using a rubric helps you avoid what's called an halo effect. And halo effect is whenever you focus on one area more than other areas. So like this right here focuses on fluency, pronunciation, or accent. Yeah, vocab, grammar, and their details, which is how much in depth they are with their ideas, or pretty much how well do they answer the prompt. Okay, and these are graded 1 through 5. Of course, with 5 is the highest, so this is out 25 points. But yeah, anytime I do any kind of assessment with students, and anytime you guys do it, hopefully, using a rubric helps. Going 1 through 5, you can give to the students if you want to. You can talk to students about it if you want to. Of course, it depends on what level they are and stuff. But yeah, I've used these since I was teaching in elementary school. In China, I've also done in the US, I've done this stuff in English, done some Spanish. At least help. And it helps you kind of identify things that the students can get better with. So anytime I have like the students do a presentation or something like that, I have one of these printed out for each of the students, and that helps me give them feedback. And then underneath there, I will usually leave some space for notes. Cool. And then that's usually what I will give the students to help them. But cool. Now, I saw there was one comment about difficulty with finding good rubrics and stuff. A lot of times, I make my rubrics myself. If you do have trouble making rubrics, or you don't know where to start, a lot of times you can just go to AI. Well, nowadays you can just go to AI and ask for help. So like you can ask GPT to make you a rubric and stuff, but you need to be very clear about what you want it to do. So like you want a rubric for speaking to look at areas in terms of fluency, grammar, vocab, and pronunciation, and maybe complexity of ideas or something like that. And then how many scores do you want to be? Do you want 1, 2, 3? Do you want 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? All of that, and then you feed that into the AI. It'll pop out something, and then you check it out and see what you like. Some textbooks will have stuff like this. The IELTS and TOEFL and those other big tests have rubrics like this. They also have those for the kids' tests that they have now. But yeah, so definitely the rubrics help. It helps you, it helps the students. Cool. All right, something a little bit easier because some people think rubrics are just too difficult. It's too much to look at, and you don't know where to start. Checklist helps, and pretty much checklist can just have 3 areas or 5 areas. And it's just from not good to really good. stuff like that. Here's one that I found, I think, on the internet this weekend for speaking in terms of clarity of the information. This is for more of a academic kind of presentation thing. So you have stuff about their methods, their results, how they organize, how they handle the questions, their slides if you have a presentation, and the overall quality. So of course it varies based on what level you're doing and like what your purpose is. So this is more for university level, maybe more almost post grad level. But yeah, again, there's just a simple little checklist about did they do this or not and how they did. And then notes. Cool. But yeah, checklists are a little bit easier for teachers. And then one thing you have to think about is it easier for you versus what's best for the students. And this is why I usually prefer rubrics. I worked at one university that made us do checklists for writing feedback, and I hated it so much. We'll talk about that next time because they were doing speaking. Oh. Okay, sweet. Now we're getting into techniques or kind of methods and tricks about giving feedback. Okay. And I have first, so we're doing speaking today, and we're going to look at doing this stuff kind of individually. Okay. Like I ask, I don't know, Zoro or somebody or Marwa, who I think might be here there, or Pravina, if I just ask them something and they just tell me an answer. So that kind of feedback 101 versus how to do it with groups or pairs. Like since we're doing a group project and I'm walking around and I'm taking notes. So what I do, and we'll get this later. But yeah, how to do stuff with groups and pairs or versus like a whole kind of like mingling activity where the whole class is talking at the same time. Like everybody finds a partner and just chats for a little bit about something and also doing presentations. So all that stuff is going to be a little bit different than if you're just doing stuff one-on-one with a student. Okay, here's some basic stuff for techniques and methods for getting speaking feedback. There are 4 categories of this. There's repetition, prompting, and elicitation, nonverbal and visual techniques, and reformulation. All right, so we have those 4, and then each of those has a couple of things underneath it, like 4 or 5. Okay, so we're gonna start off so we're gonna start off by making a speaking mistake, and this one's quite easy, quite simple. We know what's wrong. So he go home yesterday. He go home yesterday. Right, we know this is not correct. There's a mistake. Okay, and there's lots of different ways we can try and help students fix this, or we can fix this ourselves for them. But cool. I saw somebody put something in the chat box. I'm like, please don't tell me you fixed a mistake. I mean, it's an easy mistake, dude. You go home yesterday. Cool. So with he go home yesterday, there's ways to identify this. We're gonna look at repetition first. So the first thing with repetition is what's called an exact echo. That's where you repeat exactly what the student said, the way they said it. So if the kid says he go home yesterday, you say he go home yesterday, he go home yesterday. And the idea is that if you repeat it and they hear it back, they might realize that there's a mistake that you just repeat. Okay, so you just repeat it back to them. He go home yesterday, and try and wait and see if they fix it. Then there's an echo with an intonation, and that's where you repeat exactly what they said, but you stress the error to highlight. It's like he go home yesterday. He go home yesterday. He go home yesterday. And the idea is like the intonation kind of helps draw their attention to that issue. Then there's echo with a questioning expression. So you repeat with kind of facial like question, like he go home yesterday? He go home yesterday? Yeah. You make kind of a face, or you can do like a little he go home yesterday. And there's partial repetition, which is where you repeat only part of what they said and you pause or you stop before the error. And I hope the student can complete it for you. So with that one, it'd be like he what? And then hopefully you'll see that it's went. Cool. So all of those you guys remember implicit and explicit. All of these are implicit. in that I'm not fixing it for the student in any way. I'm just trying to draw their attention that there's an issue and hopefully they fix it themselves. And I'm not giving them very many clues either about what's wrong. I'm giving some clues about where it might be wrong, but not what it is exactly. So this is repetition. I quite like this one. Quite like doing this. Then there's prompting and elicitation. Now, elicitation is I pause or ask a question to get the student to stuff correct. So with he go home yesterday, um, I like he go home yesterday. I mean, he go home yesterday. Is that right? Is that correct? Are you sure? That kind of stuff. Okay. Clarification request. Sorry, he what? So just like that, kind of similar. Now, a meta-linguistic clue. This is where we start getting more into we start becoming less implicit, a little bit more X. But this is where we say something like, what's the past for go? And of course, depending on your student's level, you're not going to be able to ask this. Like my daughter, she's 4. She doesn't know what a past tense is. She doesn't know. She just knows go. She doesn't know ate. She just knows eat. Right? And repetition request. So then I'll just ask the student, can you try that again? So he go yesterday. That's not right, Bobby. Can you try that again, buddy? So just ask you to try again. Right? These are still implicit, but we're getting a little bit more explicit. We're starting to ease more off of the full implicit, especially the meta-linguistic one. All right, nonverbals and visuals. So this one is really cool. So there's a finger correction. I first saw this in a book by I think Jeremy Harmer. But yeah, finger correction. This is where you use your fingers to mark a missing or extra or wrong word or syllable. Oh, sorry. So with let me just make sure because the camera's all flipped. So there we go. He go home yesterday. So with he hold on, this way. He go home yesterday. He go home yesterday. Like this one. Something's wrong here. He went. He went home yesterday. Using your fingers to direct it. It's a little bit funky, but it's kind of fun. And then with also the fingers thing, like if we're trying to do contractions or break up contractions, like he is good. We just like it's like he is good. So he is good. We can just do he's good. So that's kind of fun. Or if students like mix words up, you just flip it. It's like he yesterday go home. Like this would be switched. And try to flip your fingers around. It's kind of silly, but it's quite cute with kids. Give them a visual. There's also gestures, so gestural correction. So miming tenses. So like he go home yesterday. He go. Like kind of going back to show the past because the past is behind you, the present in front of you. Miming for plural singular. Two is really good. Just saying that there's two. Facial expression cue. So again, making a face, tilting your head. He go home yesterday. We kind of saw that one earlier. And board cue is what I quite like. So that's where you write what they said on the board exactly. So I would write on the board, he go home yesterday. And one thing you do is you just write down the board and hopefully they see it. They can see that it's an issue. And they'll see like if it's written down, they're like, oh yeah, I can see what's wrong now with what I said because there's a different kind of thing versus when you hear it versus when you see it. But then they still have trouble. You can kind of highlight that or circle that is the word that's wrong on the board. And then also with that, you can write so if I can write he go home yesterday and I can give them option. I can write them options about, went, goes, and let them try and pick which one's right. Let's see if they can guess which one's right, actually. Cool. And then there's reformulation, which essentially is just recasting. This means to recast. The recast is, oops, sorry, that's very explicit, actually, not implicit. I knew there's a mistake in here somewhere. It's a mistake, right? Give away all my answers, but that's fine. But yeah, explicit. So recast. Recast is very, very explicit. It is where you restate what they said and you do it correctly. So if somebody says he go home yesterday, you just say he went home yesterday. He went. Oh, you mean he went home? You just fix it for them. You recast with emphasis, which is where you emphasize the correct form. So he went. He went home yesterday. He went, and they make them repeat went. So just emphasizing it more. And recast with correction, with confirmation. It's like he went home yesterday, right? And then it's like, yeah, he went home. So the idea is with the reformulation, you give the answer to them, you fix it for them, and then there's different ways to try to show that, to drill that, to make sure they understand the issue and how to fix it. All right, cool. Now let's get into the chat box again. So that was all for when there's one student. That's like if I'm talking to a student 101 in class or maybe in the hallway and they have a little mistake and I'm trying to help them fix that one mistake. It's just 101. I ask a student a question, they talk to me. Okay, great. How is that going to be different if we are trying to do it with students who are in a pair group talking activity or there's a discussion or there's a presentation? Well, what do we do then? Because we're not going to, well, how is this going to be different? Let me go to the chat and see what you guys are saying. Okay, cool. So with this stuff here about feedback, I see sharing the rubric with students, peer correction, think, pair, share. Hmm. So one thing that came up is like if we don't want to, well, maybe we don't. Well, usually we don't want to correct people in front of each other, right? There's that whole thing about them being embarrassed, or you making them seem like they're stupid in their front of their peers and stuff, especially in Asia, especially in East Asia where I am, right? So yeah, trying to make it more of a whole class feedback kind of thing. Let me ask you guys one thing. So if we're doing Socratic Circle, it's nice. Ooh, you know what Socratic Circle is? Wow, I just learned about that last year. Yeah, Socratic Circles are interesting. Yeah, usually we can't catch students after class, and we have to find a way to do it in class. Okay, so with this, if they're doing group work, pair work, or chat boxing or stuff like that, wow, some of you guys know what Socratic Circle is. That's so interesting. Yeah, I didn't know what that was till last year. Or they're doing a presentation. Do we give them feedback right away, or do we wait till after they're done talking? What should we do? Like me right now, I'm making lots of mistakes. Should you guys fix me right now, or should you try and fix me later? Ooh, that's horrible to think about. Oh yeah, no. Don't do a webinar about Socratic Circle. That's definitely something you do in person. All right, let's get back to this. Let's talk about this. Now, for group chatting, it's like if I have like a kind of a buzz thing, or I have the students, find a partner, and you guys talk for a minute or two about whatever. I wait for everybody to get done talking. I don't interrupt them because it's supposed to be a kind of fluency thing, right? I want everybody talking at the same time. The idea is to get miles on the tongue, miles on the mouth, just get some lots of talking. So I don't finish. I don't try to interrupt. Now why do I not want to interrupt? I can't give the answer because it's a fluency thing. So I want to work on fluency. And also that increases their effective filter, it makes them more nervous, and they're going to end up having more mistakes, or just not going to talk at all. They're going to be discouraged, and then especially if you just like, yeah, especially if you do one student more and not the other students, they're going to feel like, oh, you're targeting me. Now, another thing is there's lots of students talking at the same time. Okay, like if I have a class, like I've had classes of 60 students before in university and also in primary school, and they're all talking at the same time, like 30 little pairs. How do I give feedback to all of them? Haha, how can I give feedback to all 60 students? If it's 60, you're in trouble. But what are some things we do? I think one time I might have been able to do okay with a group of 20 when they're all talking at the same time. But that's because I'm mentally disabled, but sometimes I have superpowers. Yeah, if we have all the students talking at one time, how can we give feedback to them all? What do you do? This is really fun for me to talk about the teachers in person. Whenever I try to do like trainings with teachers about how to do feedback and do this stuff. Board 2 is good. But do I do it while they make the mistake? Like if when they make a mistake, or do I hold on to it after they're done? After, good. Yep, hold on. Cool. So here's what I do. So anytime I have these kind of speaking things or whatever, I have the students talking. I have a little notebook with me, and I kind of bounce around the classroom, like the idea of monitoring. So I just bounce around, I walk around the classroom, and I kind of just eavesdrop. I hear this group, hear that group, hear this group, hear that group, hear this person, that person. Anytime I hear a kind of thing that could be better or improved, or maybe I don't want to say a problem, but basically a problem or issue, I take a little note in a book or on my phone, or I just try to remember it. Usually now I do it on my phone, or I write it down in a notebook because I can't remember. Um, cool. And then if I am really, really good that day, I kind of can sit between two groups and listen to two groups at one time, and I can write with both my hands notes for two groups at one time. That's really hard, and that's hurt my head. But yeah, that cool. So after that, so we get those notes about the students making mistakes in their groups or whatever. Then we do that to the board. So we take that to the board, and or maybe a PPT because my writing's horrible, and I just write down the common issues that they've had after the activity. About lots of you guys are having trouble using plurals, or lots of you guys are having trouble with the past perfect or stuff like that. You're not using the vocabulary that you're supposed to be using. But yeah, so yeah, I walk around with a notebook, write down issues I hear from different students as they're talking, and I just keep roaming around, roaming around, roaming around. And it's really fun talking to students about, and they're saying like no other teacher does that. It's just you, so it makes me seem like I'm weird. But I think that really helps out versus just I think most teachers just sit at the front and do nothing, and the kids are not even talking. But yeah, walk around, monitor. So that's called monitoring. Walk around, write down issues that they're having on a notebook or your phone, or if you can remember it, cool. And then you board that, which you discuss it with them afterward, but I call you board it. And board is when you write it on the board or in the PPT, like common issues. And you don't call anybody out specifically because this way you make them embarrassed or whatever. So try not to do that unless you really, really need to. Yeah, I usually don't point out individual students because it will discourage them. Oh, here's Nene. Give me a kiss. Good girl. All right, now for presentations. Get off your thumb. People are watching you. Good girl. Oh my gosh. All right, now how about presentations? Anything different? Anything special for presentation? I did see Zainab says that whenever person's doing presentations on their rubric, they do have a thing about what was it? Body language? Yeah, body language. Pretty much, yeah. How do you like for me, whenever I teach presentation skills, I'm looking at do you just stand there like a tree and don't move? Do you look at trying to make some kind of engagement with the audience? That kind of stuff. Yeah, that's when you get more into that. That's one thing that we have to look at. Rubrics. Yep. Yeah. So including more stuff in the rubrics. Okay. So again, with presentations, kind of similar with the group stuff. Wait for the end because it's a presentation, so you want them to finish. And if you're interrupting them, they're gonna slow down. They're gonna get more nervous. It's not gonna be as. It's gonna just going to get worse. Rubrics are helpful because then you know what you want to take notes on, and you take your notes based on the rubric, um, and give students an idea of where they are and how they can get better by looking at the rubric. And then, like what we talked about with Zainab, is to consider more than just speaking with presentation. So you got to think about how they're moving around, how they're interacting with the audience, how they respond to questions, what do their slides look like, lots of stuff. It's much more than just speaking once you do presentations. And you share feedback after, so wait for them to finish. And usually I give students my notes or rubric with the feedback. With like the university students or the adult students, I usually will take a picture and send them the picture, or I will keep a paper copy, or vice versa. But they get a copy, I get a copy somehow. And then I will discuss common issues with this class. Um, if I have time to discuss issues one-on-one with the student, I do. If I don't, it's just common issues with the class. So usually, common issues with the class, and then as they're working on how to improve it, you go to see each student individually for a couple of minutes, depending on how many kids you have and stuff. Cool. All right, let me go ahead and sum up a bit, and we can open up for Q&A and some discussion because we're a small group today, and we got a bit of time. But yeah, feedback can be difficult. It's hard to figure out how you're going to give it to all your students. You might have 60 students in each class, and then you might be distracted by your kid who wants some crackers, like I am. There you go, kid. Yeah, it's needed. So you want to be positive, encouraging, and constructive. So you don't want to be telling them that everything's wrong and try to make it where they don't seem like they can get any better. Okay, so you want to be positive with it, you want to encourage them, and you want to tell them how they can get better, not just what they did wrong. And then you want to kind of maybe balance between implicit and explicit, but that's based on your students. So some students, if you try to help hint at what's wrong and help they can fix what's wrong, some students don't know at all what they did wrong. So you actually have to tell them what's wrong and why it's wrong. So just adapt to your students. Consider different techniques and methods. Of course, the whole finger thing, that's not going to work with university students, really. That's at that point, it's a little bit too complex. Or, if I'm working with master level nursing students or whatever, it's getting too complicated. But yeah, try the finger thing. Include examples and explanations. So that's one thing as well. Like explain why the grammar is wrong or, how different ways it can be right. And try to think from the student's point of view. So I think a lot of teachers fail to do that. But if you were a student learning this at their age and stuff, what kind of feedback would you want? And how would it make you feel if you got your feedback and stuff? So always think from a student's point of view. All right, cool. Thank you all so much. We're about to open up for Q&A for a while. Here are my socials. There's my Facebook, my blog, my YouTube, my email. There's my IG, my WeChat. You guys are in China. my org ID. Somebody one time asked me what my org ID was, and then I started putting it in my slides just because I felt so bad because I didn't know what my org ID was off the top of my head. But if you guys are into research, there's mine. But cool. And let's go into questions and comments. Thank you all. And I'll leave that open.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mitchell. Yeah, it was really informative and interesting, yes, to see yeah, so many insights from your presentations. Thank you so much. And let us open the floor to questions and answers. Dear all, now, yeah, you can also unmute yourself and ask your questions. So please feel free. And my question would be like, would, in case like, if anybody is teaching like academic speaking, can they use the same, yes, principles and tools as well as just, feedback cues and everything for academic speaking as well, or there are some differences. Thank you.
Oh yeah, I would do yeah, no, totally. So I do teach university level stuff, right? I've been teaching university for the last couple of years. And I've recently taught, master level students. But yeah, no, I totally use some of this stuff too. Maybe not so much like the whole finger thing, because that's very elementary. That's very, the little kids that with short sentences and stuff. But the whole idea of like they make a mistake and I write on the board and try to help them see like what's wrong with it, the boarding of it, right? Like they say like, um, oh my gosh, I can't think of an exact example. They make a mistake and I kind of write what they said pervert them, like exactly what they wrote on the board, and have them look at it and try to find their problem. And of course, they have issues finding the problem. I kind of like circle or highlight like the thing that's wrong, and then hopefully they can fix it themselves. So I did that, last year with, first year university students who are like, 18, 19-year olds at university learning English. So I've done that before. The whole thing about, taking notes, walking around the class, taking notes in your notebook and stuff, I've done that ever since I started teaching university. I've been doing that for, how old is my kid? She's like 4, so I guess like 6 years. I got to think about when she was born a couple years before that. So yeah, I've been doing that for a while. Yeah, definitely the whole notebook thing and monitoring, as they're speaking, going around taking notes of things that they can get better with. Definitely that one. Do that for sure. I hope that answers the question. Let me know if not.
Yeah, we have another question. So I think you partly covered this question. Yeah. So Mitchell mentioned that, yeah, giving feedback when students are speaking, like, yeah, he mentioned already uh, that there are some cues can be used, but again, just, it's always preferable to give feedback after they speak and not explicitly, but rather implicitly. And, depends on the student and depends on the situation, right, Mitchell?
So, yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. So, Mitchell, just a quick question. What are do's and don'ts based on your own experience when giving feedback to students?
Oh my
Because I
gosh.
know that, yeah, you've been teaching in different contexts. So, yeah, please go ahead. Thank you.
Yeah, great. And I saw we had another question coming up. So do's and don'ts. The main thing is definitely always think from the student's perspective. So like one time I made a kid cry. I made her cry in university. In university, she's a university student. I made her cry like about a year and a half ago. And what it was is just because I was tired. I had met, so it was when students meet with me one on one. And I had already met like 4 or 5 students for an hour. So for 4 or 5 hours, I was meeting with students one on one, and then I meet her, and she's like the worst. She had the most problems. She had no idea what she was doing, and I was telling her like this is not good. This is not good. This is not good. You need to fix all this, or you're gonna fail. And then she started crying because she was so stressed out, and I was like, oh no, I was mean. It's because I was tired. So don't try to let like your issues or whatever influence how you're talking to the students. So some of them are sensitive, especially their first year students at university, whatever. So like she cried. We became friends later, and she did okay. But yeah, that was a story. So definitely think about the students level, especially, and also their, yeah, same thing with their kids, because sometimes if you correct kids too much, or if you're too harsh to them, the kids will cry. The same, like university students will cry too, you know. So don't be mean. Think from the student's perspective. Uh, I definitely think, yeah, definitely take notes.
Mm-hmm.
If when they're speaking and stuff, just so they can give it to them later. Don't do it because you don't want to do it in front of others. Like, luckily for her, she was in my office, like one on one, so she wasn't in front of other people crying. But yeah, that kind of stuff happens. So
Mm-hmm.
I think always start from the student's perspective. Use a rubric if you can, and yeah, try to give the same, not the same, but try to give feedback to students based on the same criteria.
Mm-hmm.
Um, don't take it easy on. Don't be, don't favor students or anything like that. You want to be fair to everybody. Yeah, I think that's a good. Yeah, no, that was a really fun story. I made a kid
Yeah.
cry one time. Oh, oops.
Yeah. Okay,
Just
thank you.
it was
Thank you so much. Yeah, we have next question. Like, what is the biggest challenge or obstacle that you have been facing when, yeah, with giving a feedback?
well. One thing is sometimes there's just too much to give feedback on, right? So sometimes there's students who need lots of help, or really what you find sometimes out here is students will be in a class that their level does not match. They're too low for this level. And so when you're explaining how to get a passing grade, you can look at the student's eye and see like they're not understanding anything that you're telling them. So with that, then you focus on what's the easiest thing to fix. What are the maybe not the biggest issues, but what issues are going to be kind of easy to fix, and then slowly work them up to get better. Because you can't focus on everything at once. Some students you just can't. There's too much to focus on. There's some students who are like if you know the CEFR or you know the IELTS, let's do IELTS scores. So you have some students who are like in a 5.0, but they're in a class that's like for like a 7, 7.5. So that's a big difference, and their kids are just going to struggle regardless. Um, and so you have to just try to give them feedback about the easiest stuff that they can fix quick, and then kind of just build that up. Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah, yeah, thank you so much. So Dilfuza Sharifa is asking, what if students accept the feedback negatively? What would be your suggestion when students feel sad listening to your feedback? What would be your suggestion?
So usually that's based on how you give feedback. So you have to mind your tone and not just a lot of teachers sometimes will just give feedback that's just like this is wrong, 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 wrong. And then that makes it everything looks wrong. So instead of that, you want to give like what's the right way or how can I fix it or different ways to fix it and make it better. So don't just be about this is wrong, but make it more about how this can be better. How can we practice this? With speaking feedback, a lot of it's like let's say pronunciation, a lot of it's just showing how you move your mouth and stuff. Because there's like some pronunciation things that are hard out here. For like say let's say Chinese students, the th, how they make the th sound is quite hard because pretty much only English has that. English and I think Icelandic. So trying to just show that and mimic that with them instead of just saying that they're wrong and trying to help them get it right. I hope that answers it.
I hope too. Yeah, thank you so much. So Parvina Sodiqova is asking, yeah, what is the best way? So just let me scroll up to see. Yes, how would you rate the students' feedback? Yeah, clarity, grammar, or pace?
Okay, so usually whenever I'm doing stuff, I want to try and focus on all of those things. You want to make sure, but then also grammar, clarity, pace. It kind of goes all together. So based on depends on what you're doing and stuff. Also, you got to look at your rubric and stuff. So a lot of times rubrics will forget about pace, actually, how fast students are speaking. Um, or they'll throw that into a kind of thing like that. Um, but yeah, sometimes rubrics don't focus on grammar at all. But I tend to focus more on are they understandable and then how we can help them understand stuff. So with clarity, okay, I guess that's a pronunciation issue. So the thing is, like, people can understand what you're saying, they're not going to understand you. Okay, so try to make it where they're easy to understand first, and then we can work on, okay, here's a grammar thing, here's a vocab thing, and also, so sometimes also with pace. So a lot of those things also kind of always go together, because if they're talking too fast, it's going to be hard to understand them. So
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, thank you. So we have next question from Zainab. She's asking, I have a question about the sandwich method because I personally use it and its effectiveness depends on the students. Is it possible that the sandwich method is more about making the teacher feel comfortable than helping the student?
Oh, I would say no. I think it's about the students because I know most teachers, if it was just for lots of teachers would not give anything positive. So I know, like, whenever I am doing my work, um, and stuff, I just want to know what are my problems and how do I make my problems better. Don't tell me, oh, you did a great job. I don't care. I want to fix my problems. Um, but then like lots of students are very sensitive about that. So and then also feedback is not built that way. Lots of rubrics don't tell you, oh, you did a great job. Rubrics just tell you, you are 2 out of 5, you are 3 out of 5. So the idea of giving positive feedback kind of helps them encourage. So you can show them like you can talk about how they progressed and stuff like that. So I think that helps lighten the blow. So I definitely think it's more for helping the students. That's what I think. But Zaina might be right. She's quite clever.
Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, and we have one more question. Rano is asking, is it okay to tell students mistakes directly, or do you suggest to give general feedback? I think, like, Mitchell already covered it, but yeah, so again, just, you can give direct feedback to students when being face to face, like, yeah, or just,
Yeah.
depend on the student's level. Yeah,
Or
go. Yeah, you want
yeah,
to.
yeah. If it's like in a group, like say it's in a whole class, and like here's May May just walked up, and then all of her classmates here. I'm like, okay, here's your problem, here's how you can fix it. If it's just like that, it's fine. But I'm not gonna like, and I'm not gonna have everybody sit down and I'm like, you made this mistake. Then May May's gonna be upset. May May is my daughter, if you guys don't know. But yeah, but if it's anything like in front of the class, then no, I would not call out a student. Usually, I try not to call them out for anything good or bad. No, maybe wants to show you her horse. Good job, because you're the horse. Good job, kid.
Yeah, thank you.
So yeah,
Okay. All right. So Muqaddam, yeah, you raised your hand, so please unmute yourself and ask your
yeah,
question.
yay, someone's
Thanks
gonna
a
talk.
lot. Thanks a lot, dear
Hello.
Professor Michel. I'm really
Hi.
enjoying of your session. You're
Oh, it
so
wasn't my.
brilliant. You're so, how to say, alive. You're speaking alive. I'm enjoying. But I have a question to you because you have mentioned two ways of giving feedback as implicit and explicit. It was new for me, but I would like to know more about how to use checklists because
Ah,
checklist is the students should use it, yes, at the end of the every activity, or maybe the teacher use it. I have
okay.
confusing about it. Thanks a lot.
Okay, cool. So like with the checklist, you can have them kind of like how the rubrics are, right? So like if students are doing a speech or they're doing a presentation or anything like that, like how you have a rubric like in front of you, you just tick 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 as they're talking. It's the same concept, but with a checklist, it's just maybe 1 through 3. It's the same thing as rubric. They did okay. They did really great. They need some help. So it's the same thing with that. Now with that, you can do it yourself, or you can have the students do it, and they work with a partner, like me and who I'll pick on Parvina, are partners, and I listen to her and I give her feedback, and then she listens to me. She gives me feedback. So you can do that. You can help out with peer feedback as well as just you with them. Is that okay? Does that sound good?
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so
Thanks
much.
a lot. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank
no
you.
problem. If you have questions, just text me.
Yeah. All right. So I think we have covered all the questions in our chat box. Yeah, it was really great to see so active engagement of our participants, even though like usually we host yeah, more audience, but because of Ramadan, we understand that yeah, people also
I was wondering about that.
prioritize fasting time. Hello, sweetie. How are you? Yeah, it's so great to see you. Yeah,
Go kiss.
good. Oh, so sweet of you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, that is girl. Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much, dear Mitchell. Yeah, for again for delivering yeah, webinar, and we look forward to more webinars. And of course, yeah, dear all, please yeah, stay connected with us. We will share Mitchell's presentation later on through our EWB website where you can find. And of course, yeah, the recording of this webinar will be available on Facebook. If you missed today's webinar, don't worry, you can still watch it. And of course, we'll be looking forward to more webinars with Mitchell. Thank you so much once again for all your active engagement. Thank you so much, yeah, dear audience. Yeah, and we wish you to have a good evening. Zainab, yeah, we'll be also looking forward to your webinars. Thank you for signing up. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, please enjoy your evening with your family members, and yeah, take your time. And we'll be happy to see you again next week at our EWB Thursday webinar. Thank you, and wish you to have a great evening. Bye-bye.
Bye, you guys. Thank y'all.